Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the We Are Change Sunday News Recap. And of course, we are coming back from Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and we have a lot to catch up on, and that's why we're going to give you the latest news about the wars that are happening in this world, geopolitical updates, important news about your rights and freedoms, and most importantly, we're going to do something different and emphasize good news, positive news, uplifting news in the beginning of this broadcast to show you that there's another side of the world that the social engineers of this world do not want you to see. Now, before we start, 2 months ago, we did a limited edition run of 50 We Are Change t-shirts, which of course helps fund this independent media organization. And since it's the shopping season, we're going to do another limited run of about 50 t-shirts that will be available through the link in the description below. Now, about that shopping season, we of course just went through Black Friday in the United States and the Western world, where many people questioned if human dignity even existed, where some shoppers fought each other over slave-made goods that were mainly shipped in from China for a socially engineered corporate holiday that in reality is just a big marketing scheme. Right before Thanksgiving, nonetheless, when families gathered together and shared what they were hopeful and grateful for in this world. Now, not to be too nihilistic, because the world is how we see it, and what we focus on, we ultimately create. And yes, there are some mentally insufficient human beings out there who are horrible, but in reality, most of the world is not that horrible. Like here in London, where this dude just calmly walked in and got what he needed. And like in Finland, where people just calmly walked into the store, and probably the majority of the world. And naturally, society psychologically likes to concentrate on the worst of the worst, but if you look at the statistics and the historical record, humanity has never had it better. With the latest technological advancements, less war, less homicides, less child mortality, more education, and I could just keep going on, check the records for yourself, but there's a lot to be thankful for and grateful for in the world that we are currently living in now. And the human spirit shines, especially in this moment, where a homeless man gave his last $20 for fuel for a woman that was stranded on the side of the road. The woman and her husband then started a GoFundMe for this guy, where they have now raised $360,000 to a random homeless guy because of his act of kindness, which, by the way, he's deciding to pay it forward by getting a financial advisor and figuring out a way to spread that money to other causes and to help other people. Now, this GoFundMe originally wanted to raise only $10,000, and because of so much money that they got, they actually shut it down, which then spurred outrage by the internet, and they had them continue their GoFundMe campaign. Humanity is filled with wonderful, amazing moments, like this random dog stopping a mugger when he tried to rob a lady and attacking him to the point where he had to run for his own safety, saving the woman who was being robbed. Most humans at large also keep forgetting the fact that our time here is limited and that we should be grateful and happy for every second we have in this world. A lot of the bigger problems we face as society were usually artificially put there for the benefit of the few and greedy, but we're finding out that the answer to these problems, like the pharmaceutical industrial complex and the opioid problem, that people are finding a solution to with the things that are naturally already here on this earth. And the very few and powerful are not always corrupt, like the new CEO of Uber, who recently came out and admitted to a massive cyber attack, and Uber was keeping quiet about over a year with their previous CEO. We still have to be careful with Uber since their major financing comes from Goldman Sachs and Google, and they want to create robotic automated taxis all over the world that don't have any drivers. I digress. Moving forward, there's also people in this world who are willing to risk it all to tell people the truth about the power establishment and what really happens behind the scenes. In this world today, we also have alternatives to the Ponzi scheme quasi-private Federal Reserve banking system that are booming right now, and the government is having a harder and harder time trying to control things like Bitcoin that have diversified the financial markets like we have never seen before, which I am biased about because it has been Bitcoin donations on wearechange.org that have sustained this independent media operation. And there's still many wonders and unanswered questions about the world and the universe that we live in that completely makes this ride that's called life extremely unpredictable And ultimately, you make this ride whatever you want it to be. And it's all decided by your unique actions and choices that you have in this world, which is one of the darn reasons why this channel is called We Are Change. But there are some buttholes out there who do stand in the way for making this world a better place. And those people, of course, need to be called out in order to make you aware of these situations. And then only with our awareness and attention, we could put a stop to it. Like the government and law enforcement in Atlanta that shut down and ticketed people for feeding the homeless in their city. Or in Florida, where local municipalities are making it illegal for you to even grow your own food in your yard. All recent articles, by the way. Or like monopoly government-supported corporations like Amazon that, with total lack of accountability, are becoming the most richest and powerful CEOs in the world that care more about profit than humanity. And of course, the war business, which is a very big business and I believe one of the greatest threats against humanity. And of course, our existence or life, since we have weapons that could destroy this world 20 times over, as the banks and defense contractors push for more war, buy off more politicians, put us in debt, lend money at interest, bomb each other to smithereens, and then actually pay for rebuilding the things that they bombed, while the mainstream media does what they always do best: shield for the elites, lie to you, use propaganda, divide and conquer humanity, and somehow try to convince you that killing your fellow man is a good thing. And they're willing to do all sorts of things to get us into war. Like recently admitted in the JFK documents that the US government planned on even using a false flag attack to start a war with the Soviet Union and, possibly spark a nuclear holocaust and World War III. So yeah, let's get to the subject that we are best known for exposing and explaining to you: the latest geopolitical news. And now, just recently, the United States and South Korea announced plans for another massive Air Force exercise aimed at North Korea. And if you don't know, this has been a pivotal issue between the war of words between North Korea and the United States, since it has been China and the North Koreans who have offered up to stop their nuclear program, only if the United States would stop doing military drills and dry runs of bombing their country to smithereens. The United States, of course, has rejected this offer for many reasons, and now is expanding these drills. In Egypt, we saw a radical Islamic terrorist attack that has killed over 300 people inside of a mosque targeted against less radical Islamists by what many witnesses are saying was an attack by ISIS. Also this week, Qatar's ex-prime minister came out and admitted how jihadis in Syria were supported by Saudi Arabia, the United States, and Turkey, which brings us to a very important geopolitical shift that Donald Trump has recently made, where he just announced that he will cease arming Syrian Kurds, changing a major military alliance when it comes to the Syrian conflict. Of course, making moves so the NATO-linked Turkey does not go to Russia. When it comes to deciding the future of Syria after this conflict inside of that country looks like it's ending, that the United States is still keeping thousands of US troops in, even though ISIS is mainly defeated, and now the world powers will be fighting over what will happen in that country. And obviously, previously before, Donald Trump has angered the Turks by supporting the country's sworn enemy, the Kurds, and now he's trying to get Turkey aligned with Israel and Saudi Arabia with the United States to be a key factor in deciding the future of Syria instead of Iran and Russia. All the while, the United States still assists and supports Saudi Arabia in one of the largest famines in human history, with the utter suffering and misery that Saudi Arabia is causing Yemen right now. Something we've been covering for years now, and even Ron Paul is asking, former statesman and congressman, why is the United States helping Saudi Arabia destroy Yemen? But most importantly, this humanitarian crisis is being completely ignored by the US Western media, as the United States now is selling $7 billion more in US arms to Saudi Arabia to create more war crimes, more famines, more cholera outbreaks, and more human devastation against the Iranian-linked Houthi rebels, with the United States and Saudi Arabia fighting alongside Al-Qaeda rebels. Sorry, that's a mouthful, but you need to know this, since many people don't know that there is a proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran inside of Yemen, and an escalating war of words, where just recently the Saudi prince called Iran's Ayatollah the new Hitler of the Middle East. The battle lines and alliances, of course, are being made right now, and with the United States being on the side of Saudi Arabia, Iran is even now vowing to send fleets of warships to the Gulf of Mexico right near the United States. And with this close alliance of Israel, the United States, and Saudi Arabia, and our war on terror, we have seen a 6,500% increase in terrorism while totally indebting society to the tune of $14 trillion, which even Jack Ma, the billionaire founder of Alibaba, came out and said that the United States wasted this money on warfare over the past 3 decades, when that money could have gone and been invested in domestic infrastructure and programs for the American people. And yeah, he has a point. Instead of indebting ourselves to the bankers and military defense contractors, while at the same time creating an increase in terrorism, you would think that money would be spent more wisely. Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. I always respond to you guys as soon as the video comes out. Of course, complete thanks and gratitude to everyone who supports us on wearechange.org/donate, because if it wasn't for you, it's definitely not YouTube monetization, but if it wasn't for you with cryptos or you buying the new shirt, I honestly wouldn't be able to be here. And I only am because of you, and that's why, no BS, I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.